Hey friends, it's Emily and welcome back to my channel. Today I was doing some meal prep, which literally makes your life the easiest thing ever. And I thought I would show you what I made because it just looks so good. Look at that. It literally looks so good and it's super colorful, as you can see, and there's that whole thing like you should eat the rainbow because it's like better for your health and body and like all of that stuff. So like colorful food just looks really nice. So I'm gonna put it in the oven now for like 10 minutes and then I flip it over and then I put it in the oven for another 10 minutes and then it's done and my meal is prepped for the week. And how easy is that? Literally you just cut up some vegetables and chicken, put it in a pan, put it in the oven, and then you don't have to cook again for a week. For a week. This is amazing. My little baby scratched me. I got you. I don't know if you can tell this, but Nala is not a fan of kisses. Hello, welcome to outside. It's very green. I'm wearing some red. I'm lying on a watermelon towel, so you could say that I'm very complimentary in my colors right now. I thought that today a nice theme would be color. So last week I showed you guys a little bit of behind the scenes and I talked about light. As you can see, some harsh light from the sun on my face right now, and now shadow. But yes, and today I thought I'd talk a little bit about color. So, I mean, color in food. I'm going to talk about that first, and then I'll talk a little bit about movies and what color makes us feel, because that's always fun, and that's something that I'm also super interested in. So I just thought I'd explain a little bit. So, color in food. And if you're wondering why I'm looking over here, I'm looking at my laptop because I don't want to give you guys any like wrong information. Whoa. Sorry, my cats are like killing each other here. She thinks, I'm not even joking, check this out. You see these black seeds on the towel. She thinks that they are like creatures that need to be destroyed. So she keeps pouncing on them. And we are back. I just thought I'd tell you a little bit about color and why color in your foods is so important. So firstly, like, it gives you variety, and especially vibrant foods. So if a fruit is in season, that's the best time to eat it because that's when it's at its most vibrant, so it's most full of like nutrients and all of that super good stuff. So like red foods, for example, their main vitamin, which is good for you, no idea how to pronounce it, I'll put it on the screen, but that nutrient is actually enhanced when it's cooked. So like cooked tomatoes, even apparently you can have like grilled watermelon, but yeah, all that stuff, super good for you. And then we've got our purple foods or dark blue foods, so your like beetroot or blueberries and stuff. They're full of antitoxins and they're just really good at keeping your mind active and like working. And then we have our green foods, so like our broccoli and spinach and lettuce and celery and beans and all that yummy stuff. They're super high in vitamin A and they're also like a really good calcium. And then our yellow foods are really good for our skin. So the more of like oranges, mangoes, bananas, or like pineapple, yellow pepper, they are really good for our skin, our complexion and all that stuff, and they're also a good dose of vitamin A. And then our white foods, so cauliflower, potato, all that, they're good for like potassium and they're nice carbohydrates and all that stuff. So that's a little bit of why color in our food is really good and really important. And I just heard the beeper for my meal prep going off, so I need to go get that food out of the oven pronto. Okay, so for this portion of the video, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about color itself, and especially color in like movies and visual things that we see and how that affects how we view those visual things. So if this isn't really what you guys are interested in and you were more interested in the foodie, healthy stuff, then you guys can skip the rest of this, I guess. But for those of you who are interested in color and what we think of color and how we perceive it, then please continue watching. So everyone, welcome to color. Okay, so the first thing you guys should know about color is that color is kind of composed of three different things. That is your hue, your value, and your saturation. So your hue is the color itself, so is it red, brown, green, blue, whatever. Your value is also known as your brightness, and that's basically just how much light is in that color. Then we have the saturation of our color, and that is the intensity of our color. So how intense and like energy filled is the color. Generally speaking, the more saturated a color, the more energy we feel like we receive from said color. Then the next step in understanding color is understanding the different harmonies of color we can get. So examples of that are monochromatic, analogous, complementary, and triadic. Monochromatic color is when one tone is used overall, so it's just various shades of gray or various shades of red or various shades of blue, so on and so forth. Analogous colors are colors that appear next to each other in the color wheel circle. Triadic color are colors that are equally apart in the circle. You'll often find that's going to be like your primary colors like red, blue, and yellow. A great example of a movie that uses triadic color would be Stuart Little. Stuart Little uses a lot of blues, yellows, and reds in its color scheme. And then you get complementary color, and complementary colors are like the colors that are directly opposite each other in the color wheels. So you're going to have blue, which goes really well with orange, you have purple, which goes really well with yellow, and red that goes really well with green. Now there's a lot of movies that utilize this kind of complementary color palette, but I think that the most standout movie would be Amelie, which uses just red and green pretty much, and it's always the focus point is green and the background is red, or the background is red and the focus point is green. And what this does is it makes everything just stand out really, really well against each other. Another very common complementary color scheme is the infamous teal and orange color scheme that is used in pretty much every blockbuster and superhero movie and like just movies in general. And there is actually a reason for this. So the teal and orange color scheme works really well to make actors stand out from the background. So like skin tones are generally a little bit warmer, more on the orange side. So if you take the complementary color of orange, that's blue. And so that blue and orange just makes the actors really stand out from a blue background with their orange toned like skin. So something that you all probably know is that when you see a color, you relate it to a certain emotion. And I mean, I think the perfect example of this is the animation Inside Out. So if for those of you who haven't seen it, it's an animation. It's about a family who have moved, and basically we watch most of the movie from inside this young child's head, and we watch all of her emotions interacting with each other as separate little beings. And each of the emotions have a color that makes them recognizable. So we have blue for sadness, green for jealousy, purple for fear, red for anger, and yellow for joy and happiness. And while these are really, really good things, like when you think of yellow, you do think of joy. When you think of green, you think of envy. When you think of blue, you think of sadness, red, anger. However, all of these other colors have many other ways of perceiving them. Like red doesn't only mean anger, it also means passion. And green doesn't only mean envy, it also means health and life and sustainability. So you can see that all of these colors have so many different meanings and connotations with them that it becomes very situationally specific. So that's why we've never been able to do like a really intense scientific study into the human mind and what each color sees, because it's very situational and it's very subjective. So for example, red. Red is the strongest color that we can possibly see, and there's scientific reasons behind that I don't really understand, so I'm not going to get into it. If you want to know more about it, Google it. Red is a very, very strong color. Because of that, we kind of relate it to the strongest emotions. So we have hate and anger on one side, and we have passion, lust, and love on the other side. And we can see these in movies. So passion and lust, we have movies like American Beauty, The Red Room, and 50 Shades of Grey. And then for violence and anger, we have movies like Silence of the Lambs, The Shining, and Seven.
Green is another one of those colors that has numerous different meanings. It could be perceived as envy and jealousy and just the color to represent evil in movies such as The Wizard of Oz and Maleficent. Green is also perceived as a color of like the mundane, boring life, and that's why we often see office scenes are very green tinted. Another thing green can represent is hope and life. So when we see fields that are luscious and green, like in The Hobbit, we automatically link that with growth and health and sustainability. And I think one of the most common things that green symbolizes that we all know is the green light in The Great Gatsby, which is a clear symbol of hope. And so just in this one color, we see jealousy, envy, like evilness. We see hope, we see health, we see sustainability. And I mean, this color is just packed with lots of different meanings. Then we move on to yellow, and yellow could mean joy and happiness and optimism, like we see in La La Land. She's a very optimistic character. We see in Inside Out, the character Joy is yellow. But if we look at the color yellow used in The Great Gatsby, it has a completely different meaning. It means corruption, it means decay, it means greed, it means wealth closely linked to corruption. And so again, we have this color that has very different like meanings depending on how we see them. We have blue, and blue represents sadness, and all of like, you're often going to see thrillers and dramas are kind of blue tinted. Blue can also mean nourishment. It's a color that you'd link with water and being calm and a flowing stream. And so again, we have very kind of two polar opposites. We have sadness, but we also have nourishment and being calm. Color in movies is also very often used ironically. So a character is specifically put into a color to make us feel uneasy about that character, to make us not trust that character. So a great example of this is the color pink. Specifically, it symbolizes being sweet. So when you see the color pink, you're like, oh, it's a young, sweet, innocent child. However, in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, we meet Umbridge, and she's kind of known as the Pink Lady. Everything about her is pink, her outfit, her decorations, her wall, her everything. In fact, her wall is even covered in kittens. I mean, how can you get more sweet and cute than that? However, she is probably one of the most hated characters in the Harry Potter universe because she's very evil and manipulative. And so we see that irony there, which creates this massive sense of distrust because we were led to believe this character was sweet and nice just by looking at her, and then once we get to know her, she's the exact opposite. Color in film is also often very utilized in terms of association to get a message across. So if we associate a specific character with a color, then every time in that film we see that color, whether it be a notebook or a letter or a wall or anything in that color, even a car, we are going to associate that object with that character, and that helps the audience link things in movies together. Similarly, in movies, a color could be associated with a particular action or feeling or emotion, such as in The Godfather, the color orange is associated with death. And what's really awesome about color by association is that we don't have to utilize the stereotypically like violent colors with the violent emotions. So ordinarily, when we see red, we think blood or we think passion. However, The Godfather kind of turns this on its head because we're seeing the color orange, sometimes we're even just seeing an orange, and we immediately associate that with death, as opposed to in The Shining, where everything is very red, and that's what we associate with the violence there. So as you can see, color can get increasingly more difficult to understand in movies, and if you actually analyze a movie, you realize how much work goes into every single scene, object, frame, item of clothing, makeup on an actor. Everything in movies is so incredibly planned out. And honestly, it makes a difference between an average movie and a phenomenal movie. I hope you guys found this interesting, and if not, I'm sorry. Hopefully next vlog will be more interesting for you then. But anyway, I will see you guys very soon. I love you very much. Don't forget to give this video a like if you liked it, and subscribe so that you can stay tuned on all our fun journey adventures. I love you guys. I'll see you very soon. Bye!